Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Transportation Committee to order. Thank you all for being here today for this special meeting. As a reminder, this meeting is being shared virtually through Zoom for those who could not join us in person today, and as you just heard, is being recorded. Committee members, please remember to turn on your mic before speaking so that those online and throughout the room can hear you. And also please state your name before speaking, and it's helpful for people joining virtually so that they know who you are. So audience members in person, if you would like to make a public comment during item 5, please fill out one of the public comment cards on the sign-in table and give it to a CMAP staff member. For those online, please use the Zoom chat function and let staff know. And at this time, I'd like to go around the room and have everyone introduce themselves, starting with me. My name is Tara Orban, and I'm representing Cook County.
Amy Lee for CMAP.
David Kralik for Metro.
Megan Swanson, IDOT Planning.
Christina Kapkowski, Will County.
John Loper, DuPage County.
Scott Hennings, McHenry County.
Morning, Jackie Forbes, Kane County.
Heidi Lichtenberger representing Kendall County.
Audrey Wenning with the Metropolitan Planning Council.
Kara Bader, CTA.
John Paul Depla, FHWA.
Henry Giroir, Illinois Tollway.
Mark Kane, FTA.
Jack Cruikshank, Illinois EPA.
Kyle Whitehead, RTA.
Mary Nichols, CDOT.
Joseph Schofer, Northwestern University.
Steve Schulke, IDOT Region 1.
Chuck Abraham, IDOT YPI.
Doug Ferguson, CMAP staff.
And in the audience?
Mooney, CTA.
And CMAP.
Schneider, CMAP.
Russell Petroviak, CMAP.
John Carpenter, CMAP.
Laura Wilkeson. Cam Dobbs, CMAP.
Elizabeth Ginsburg, CMAP.
Jen Miller, CMAP.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Before we begin, we have one procedural item to address, and that is voting members that are qualified to participate remotely. So we have Kevin Carrier from Lake County and Pamela Jones from the Center for Neighborhood Technology have requested to participate remotely in compliance with the requirements of the Illinois Opens Meeting Act. So a vote of those present is required to allow this participation, and I should note we have more than a quorum. Thank you all for being here. So do I have a motion to allow Kevin Carrier and Pamela Jones to participate remotely?
So move, Amy Lee, CMAP.
In a second.
Second, Chuck Abraham, IDOT YPI.
Thank you, Chuck. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, there are no agenda changes. Do we have any announcements from committee members? Seeing none, we can move on to the business at hand, which is item 3.1, the FY 23 to 28 TIP amendments and administrative modifications. So Russ is here from CMAP to provide a brief overview.
All right, good morning. Included in your packet today is a memo detailing the 2 TIP changes contained in formal TIP amendment 25-01. As seen in the memo, formal amendments resulted in an increase of just over $1.56 billion in total project costs for all prior, current, and future years. I will highlight the 2 projects. CTA Red Line Extension, this project is a significant investment in transit and is listed as a regionally significant project in ON2 2050. As stated in the memo, a mix of funding is being added to the TIP for this project. There are various local, state, and federal funds being used to implement this project. Of note, for the TIP change that was submitted is moving FTA Section 5309 capital investment grant funds from MYB to various TIP years. It should be noted that these are not FTA formula funds that the region receives annually, but are additional discretionary grant funds. These funds were anticipated, however, as FTA and CTA have been working on a full funding grant agreement for some time. The other project is the CTA Blue Line reconstruction. This project is also a regionally significant project onto 2050. In the spring, it was announced that CTA had been awarded a Reconnecting Communities and Neighborhoods discretionary grant for $111 million from US DOT for track improvements on the Blue Line between Kedzie Avenue and the Pulaski Station. As part of this amendment, CTA is adding these funds to the TIP. Regarding fiscal constraint, despite the large increases in funding associated with the two TIP changes, the TIP is fiscally constrained. The federal funds being added are discretionary grant funds, not formula funds, which are constrained by the grant amounts in the grant awards. The increases in federal funding for these two projects match the grant awards. Documentation supporting the availability of all the funds being added to the TIP have been provided to CMAP, thus demonstrating that all the funds being added are available or committed per federal requirements. The amendments, along with the memo, were posted on October 18th for committee and public review. Approval of formal TIP Amendment 25-01 is requested, and I or CTA who is in attendance can answer any questions if there are any at this time.
Thank you, Russ. So before we take any questions or begin discussion, I will entertain a motion to approve the TIP Amendment 2501.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have motion and second. Okay, now we can begin with our discussion. Does anyone have any questions? Audrey?
Yes, hi. I know you just stated that all the funds are available. I know that there's debt being issued for this project. I don't know if CTA could tell us the amount of debt that you have currently and how this changes the percentage of your operating budget with the red line extension added. CTA, I guess, what I'm not.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
defer to CTA
Yeah.
on that, but yes, there are CTA bonds that are part of what's being added to the TIP along with a mix of other funding. But if they want to address the bond question that you have, I would defer to them.
Infrastructure Transit Authority. So all the debt being issued to support the project are in the out years of the project, so we've not issued any of it to date on it. The initial program assumed $300 million in bond funds that were issued in the early planning phases of the program, which were already included in the TIP and the budget. The increase is allocated towards the out years. So you're looking at the 2029, 2030, and 2031, and we wouldn't be issuing that debt until the time was necessary.
Thank you, Bill, for answering that question. Thanks for the CTA to be present to answer those. I have just a more general question. There's a lot of roadway people here, myself included, so I'm not as familiar with the FTA funds. Can you explain to me the 5309? There's close to $2 billion in funding here. What is that used for? You said it's discretionary.
This
Can
is
you
a
just-
capital improvement grant. We do have FTA here. I believe that they could probably be the best ones to answer that.
So it's not necessarily discretionary. These are for special one-time type projects. So ETA and other recipients go through a vetting process that starts with project development. So with this TIP approval, it would unlock reimbursable costs for construction and all design work that they have incurred up to this point.
Thank you. So the 5309 funding is specific to the Red Line Extension project. Okay.
In the past, we would refer to these funds as new starts or small starts. This is in the IIJA, the current iteration of what that is.
Okay, thank you. And just to clarify, the whole reason why a TIP change is needed is because these 5309 funds were in the outer years and they're being brought into the active years, right?
That is correct. This is a formal change. They were in MYV and now they are being programmed in actual TIP years.
So any implementing agency, if we were requesting funds to be moved from the outer years to the current years, we'd be in the same situation.
Yeah,
but
this is a
that's what
regular
necessitates
formal tip
this.
change.
Okay, thank
We
you
do
for
these all the
clarifying.
time.
Appreciate that. Any other comments or questions from the audience? Committee? Okay. So at this time, we can take a vote for approving TIP Amendment 2501. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business that committee members would like to bring forward? Okay. Does anyone from the audience, moving on to item 5.0, thank you, Russ, for the presentation. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the committee today? Anyone online? I see a chat, but not, okay. Okay. All right, very good. Okay, so yeah, we do have one public comment that was submitted in advance of today's meeting, and Amy is going to take care of that. Amy?
Good morning. Oh, this is a public comment that was provided and submitted by John Paul Jones, co-founder of Redline Extension TIF Coalition, and Janet Bell, president of Golden Gate Community Association. She is also a board member of the Redline Extension TIF Coalition. And their statement reads, "Good morning, CMAP Transportation Committee members, CTA administrators, and fellow transportation planners. The Redline Extension TIF Coalition is a regional planning, public policy, economic development, and civic engagement initiative working to ensure equity in transportation, infrastructure, and green futures. The Redline Extension TIF Coalition wishes to register our support for today's ordinances to advance carbon reduction programming and workforce development funding. We appreciate action by the CMAP Transportation Committee to hold this critically important special meeting. This meeting adds value to the regional hope of obtaining this fall season a federal full funding grant agreement from the Federal Department of Transportation. As the Transportation Committee and staff are aware, time is money. The quicker CTA secures its full funding agreement, the quicker we can secure other necessary permits and supplies to contain hard and soft costs. Cost containment is paramount. With this support, it's our hope that CMAP and CTA planners would revisit ways to strengthen and improve upon transit-oriented development concepts at 4 stations. We believe increased cost of the Red Line Extension project, now $5.3 billion, should trigger an expanded scope of redevelopment options via, for each public dollar spent, a 6-fold of private investment is generated. Therefore, we request that CMAP and CTA pursue TOD and workforce solution initiatives in FY25 through 26. In addition, we wish to encourage CTA to consider hosting a public meeting on its stationary activities surrounding the railroad operations by Union Pacific Railroad via rail yard at 121st Street. To this end, we urge full support of today's action to fund the CTA with carbon reduction programming and workforce solution grants. We look forward to celebrating this fall season upon the receipt of the federal full funding agreement. Thank you so much for today's special meeting. But wait, there's more. We do have another comment to read into the record. This comes from Robert Castiger. And it reads, "A bike lane on Foster Avenue would make more sense than a bike lane on Bryn Mawr. The proposed bike lane on Bryn Mawr runs a very short distance from just west of Pulaski, which has very little traffic anyway, to the North Channel. Even if extended west, Bryn Mawr runs into a dead end at the cemetery at Western Avenue. On Foster, the bike lane could extend an existing bike lane in the 45th Ward, which now ends at Elston. This bike lane on Foster goes by several parks: LaBaugh Woods Picnic Area, Gompers Park, Eugene Field Park, River Park, Winnemac Park. It could reach all the way to the lakefront and the bike paths along the lake. Foster goes close to several schools along the way. Foster Avenue would be a much better selection for an east-west bike lane instead of the short distance on Bryn Mawr. And that concludes that statement.
Thank you, Amy. And I believe that concludes the,
It looks like we have 2 public comments online. If we can pause, we're trying to get them on.
so we have people that wish to speak, right? And we're just trying to, and okay. Got it. Okay, very good. So for those online, we're just trying to facilitate the public or public comments from one additional participant. We're having some technical difficulties, so one moment, please. We've all been there, that's okay. Okay, we have Garland Armstrong here to make a public comment. Good morning, Garland.
Hi, everyone. It's Garland Armstrong. Sorry, I just got in but I just want y'all to know that since y'all facing the same deficit like for the fiscal cliff, we are too here, and also too, as you know, DART is losing one of their bus service and paratransit for the community here. So I just want y'all to know if that ever happens in the Chicagoland area where service cuts will be, how will from all walks of life, including the disability community, will be well prepared for it, for extreme service cuts and everything, so that they can know what they can do next. So y'all can have a backup plan, because we're having the same problem here in Iowa, that we're also seeing the fiscal cliff here too. So how will the Chicagoland area be able to handle it, especially in the 6 or 7 county area, that the deficit is for real and they need to see it and translate it in different languages to make sure, for those who cannot speak clear English, how they can help out too. So I'm just asking about that. So what y'all can do about that to be well prepared if God forbids it does happen down 2026.
Thank you, Garland, for your comments. It is a big problem for the region and something that I know many of us in this room are actively working on. Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else for public comment? Okay. Moving on, the next meeting is scheduled for November 22nd, so just less than a month from now. So we look forward to seeing you all again. And seeing that there's no other business before the committee, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Amy. All those in favor? Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.